Good morning, everyone. There's some new faces in the congregation this morning, so just a brief introduction. My name's John. I am only speaking to you as a member of the congregation. I don't serve on any particular committee or any organization within the church itself. I'm just a guy. I've been here with my wife for 7 years, and I am honored to be able to share these perspectives with you. In my childhood, in my school years growing up in the Midwest, planting our vegetable garden was an annual event. Although there was a general understanding that we would be planting a garden each spring, the real planting activity kicked in when the catalogs arrived. Any gardeners out there that look at the seed catalogs or whatever? That was the impetus, right? You've got the catalog, you've got to plan. And all the metaphor is certainly imperfect. I think of our stewardship campaigns as kind of a reflection of the kickoff of a garden ahead, a year and multiple years into the future. I would emphasize that what I'm sharing with you today is these are my thoughts and reflections only. They have not been pre-approved by anyone, so I guess the disclaimer of this does not represent views of the management of this facility might be appropriate, and hopefully there will be approval from upper management, and if you hear thunder, head for your pews, get under them, whatever.
I say that every Sunday.
In every church that I have served through the decades, stewardship campaigns share a common message. Stewardship is demonstrated by the giving of time, talent, and financial support as our circumstances permit. My brief message today will focus primarily on the financial realities of our church and how we can sustain the ministry of First Presbyterian Church, Port Townsend, into the future. The great majority of our annual income, 76% in 2025, is derived from individual contributions from our members. For most of the past 7 years, our expenses have exceeded our income. In 2025 alone, last year, our expenses exceeded our income by $32,804. Yes, I'm a numbers guy to a degree. We have covered expenses by transferring funds out of our savings and investment accounts and bequests. Had our income and expenses remained the same for 26 and 27 as they were in 2025, we would have depleted our savings and our bequests 18 months from now, by the end of 2027. People have heard that from me before. I'm not sure if it's shocking to some of you now, but that's where we were headed. With a number of changes, including the retirement of our business manager, the renovation of our manse to reduce the housing allowance for Pastor Paul and his family. Thank you to Rich Munden and the Building and Grounds Committee and all the volunteers for that. We reduced personnel costs for administrative support and custodial services in 2026, thanks to Leslie Shively, Debbie Reed, Phil Shipman filling in for janitorial work, and starting to generate new income for the church via our New Visions community, thanks to Steve Shively and the New Visions community team. Our ability today to sustain our current expenditures was extended by several years through December of 2030. However, in each of the years 2027 through 2030, with no increase in giving, our annual expenses will continue to exceed our income, and we will have exhausted our available savings by December of 2030. There is, however, good news. Is there good news? I'm going to share some good news. Hopefully it'll be good news. If we as a congregation are able to increase our giving by only 10% this year, a one-time bump in our giving to the life of this church, and are able to sustain that level of giving for the next 7 years, we'll achieve two very, very positive outcomes. The first is that we sustain our ministry as it currently functions through 2033 and still have savings remaining at that time. When I say sustain our ministry as it is today, that means we have a full-time pastor, we have paid staff who provide custodial services and musician support and bookkeeper and all of those things. We're able to sustain that through 2033, and we'll still have savings remainder as we transition beyond that. And please note, because the number is sometimes challenging, when I say the 10% increase, it's based only on your current level of financial support. We're not saying, as often happens in some churches, we'd really like you to tithe and give 10% of your income. It's not what we're saying. We're saying whatever level of income or support that you provide for the church today, if you have the ability to increase that by 10%, that will give us sustenance to continue to imagine our future and plan for our future beyond 2033. I would also emphasize that this outcome addresses only one leg of our three-legged financial stool. The increased giving of 10% will address our operating expenses, but the reality, as any of you would just automatically, I think, know, particularly if you've lived in a Victorian home or if you've observed what happens with friends who have Victorian homes, we've got to develop a capital fund campaign for future significant building, maintenance, and projects that are pending here at our church. You can't do just one thing on a three-legged stool and have it stay upright. The second of those two things beyond the 10% is that we really need to focus on a legacy giving campaign to help address the realities is that we are a smaller community, we're an aging community. There's going to be changes happening to us as time moves forward, and one of the ways that we can help to mitigate some of those changes is to develop a legacy campaign that provides some basic financial sustenance and support for the community, even as we pass on or move away or head into a different part of our life. Collectively, among other things, communication around those goals will be forthcoming. We're not talking about that today. What I do believe is that collectively, all of us as a congregation, session, and critical committees need to take on the tasks of addressing the following concerns. We need to be in conversation and open and honest and reflective and transparent conversation about what we believe is the future of this church. Is it a church that's only going to be here for 5 years? Is it a church that's going to be here for 10 years? Are we going to be together as a community for 20 years? If we fail to have those conversations, we miss the opportunity to just reflect reality. That there's so many cliches around these kinds of campaigns, but the reality is that if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a destination for your road, any road will get you there, right? I don't know where we're going, we're just going to go. We need to have an understanding and a collective agreement about where we're headed as a congregation, and I think we have the capability to do that. We should focus on what other sources of funding for our needs might be available other than financial support from our members. We hear that there are grant programs. We've heard that the grants are in decline because of things happening nationally. I don't believe that we have really developed a cohesive effort to try and understand exactly what that means for this community. I think that there may be funds available that we need to try and source out. And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. And the other thing that has just, over the 7 years that we've been here, I've just seen the impact of is the thing we have to recognize as we think about our financial life is the realities of inflation that we all deal with. We all kind of recognize inflation individually. Man, the price of eggs, man, the price of milk has gone up. Certainly the price of gas at the gas pump has gone up. The church doesn't escape those things, nor do our staff members, whether they're pastoral or administrative or custodial staff. In the time that Chrissy and I have been here, the cost of living has risen 30% from when we arrived, right? And if you ask me where those numbers come from, you can go to any website and look at the cost of living adjustments from the Social Security Administration, and you'll see exactly the numbers that I'm talking about. So that's what's been happening nationally, it's what's happening locally, and it's part of our challenge as administrators of this community to figure out how to address that moving forward. I do want to emphasize that despite the challenges ahead, I believe we have the capability to strengthen First Presbyterian Church, Port Townsend, for many years into the future. I'm a believer in that. It's fundamental to what I feel when I come here every Sunday morning. We have the ability to sustain ourselves far into the future, and I understand that the realities of our individual mortality, our health issues, aging, all of those things that impact us, they're there. And the church, yes, collectively, that does experience that, but the reality is that given our faith and our trust in each other, this church can be here for a long time into the future. We're not at the end of our line. We're not at the end of our calendar time. We are in the middle of it. We have to make changes. We can't keep doing the same things that we've always done and expect different outcomes. We all know the definition of that, right? So my hope is that this very brief, or maybe not brief enough, introduction will spark discussion and encouragement for each of you to participate in the process of planning and nurturing the garden that is First Presbyterian Church, Port Townsend. Thank you.